The self-improvement niche on YouTube is fucking huge. I don't know if you guys see this, but when I'm scrolling through my For You page, I get 5, 10 of those videos really consistently. I watch them, to be fair, but it's a huge sphere in the internet just in general. And one of the biggest things that I've seen, for some reason, is comparisons to monks and to other religions, particularly Buddhism. And in my opinion, self-improvement goes fully against every Buddhist principle. In this video, I'm going to try to explain why I believe that. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, and we're going to start out at number 5. Buddhism is a much more popular form of belief than self-improvement. Not only that, but it has existed for centuries upon centuries, thousands of years. Self-improvement has maybe been a sort of a modern philosophy for like 30 years. When you look at these two very, very different belief systems that totally contradict each other, I would tend to side with the one that has more time under his belt and more believers. Let's look at the differences. The biggest thing with self-improvement is this goal chasing, right? You have to get this Ferrari, and then once you get that Ferrari, you'll be happy. But the thing is that how self-improvement is structured is that you always are going to want to improve. You got that Ferrari, great, now get a Lamborghini. When you get that Lamborghini, you're going to get a lot of temporary happiness. This is great at creating a temporary sense of accomplishment. However, it's going to dissipate because there's always going to be something bigger. You get a Bugatti, then you get a yacht, then you get the fucking super mega yacht, then you get the rocket ship to Mars or whatever. It's never going to end. You're never going to get that feeling that you're at where you want to be because of how self-improvement creates that cycle. The second thing is that it tends to focus too much on vanity and on the outer self, on how others perceive you. And the reason why is really simple. It's because it's easier for people to sell products that help you look handsome than to sell products that make you happy. It's harder to sell books than it is to sell like a cologne that makes women fall to their knees in horniness. Like, if you look at this, there's so much bias in all of these creators. The other thing that social media and this culture as a whole has created is this thought of attempting to satisfy your cravings. If you crave, for example, a lot of money, instead of looking at why do I want this money? What would this really do for me? You just try to get the money. You don't try to think about it any further than that. Versus in Buddhism, you attempt to remove those cravings altogether, or at least understand why you have them and be able to remove yourself from that state of abstract want and abstract need, be able to understand yourself more clearly. The biggest difference, though, is that modern self-improvement believes that a lack of achievement is what causes your biggest negative emotions, your biggest unhappiness. However, Buddhism believes that the desire for achievements, the desire for anything at all, is the cause of unhappiness. The more you desire, the more unhappy you will be because you're never going to be able to achieve all of it. That's the biggest contradiction between these two philosophies. And again, when we're looking at these two warring philosophies, which one has much less bias? Buddhism. Which one has many more philosophers? Buddhism. Which one has been studied for longer? By far, Buddhism. The last thing is that modern self-improvement seeks to change yourself to who you want to be. Buddhism seeks to change who you want to be to who you are now. It seeks to accept yourself, all the bad parts of yourself, all the good parts of yourself, to be able to look at yourself and reflect on yourself neutrally. Versus self-improvement just wants to change as fast as possible, turn into a different person, kill your old self. Although you can believe that this is only present in Buddhism, that would simply not be true. One of the In fact, the most common form of therapy in the West is called cognitive behavioral therapy. That's right, CBT, not cock and ball torture, cognitive behavioral therapy. What this aims to do is, again, be able to accept yourself the way you are. And ultimately, that doesn't mean that you can't make changes to yourself, but that means that you look at yourself through an unbiased perspective, similarly to how you would look at other people. You're able to identify those negative thoughts that you have about yourself and ask them whether they're even correct. Understanding your negative thoughts and being able to accept them and look at them and see if they're really correct or not is something that's shared not only by Buddhism, but by much of Western psychology that's very much shown in this form of therapy. Lastly, I strongly believe that there is a ton of bias surrounding these self-improvement creators. Look at Buddhist monks. What do they have to gain from this? They have to gain their own personal happiness, and other than that, they don't have much. They don't have very many worldly possessions. Honestly, they don't have all that much bias. Of course they have bias. I believe everyone has bias. However, compared to these influencers, they have significantly less. Look at the influencers. When you look at those videos, almost all of the time, they're either selling a course or they're selling Amazon affiliated products. These are always marketed to try and make it feel like they will make you happy. They will fix all of your problems. That is an extremely problematic bias when it's in a sphere that talks about something as important as philosophy and life and mental health and physical health. Having those biases makes it extremely difficult for me to truly believe and trust in what they are saying. That is my final take on why I think that self-improvement's bullshit. Don't listen to it. Look at philosophy and ideas that have much more thought put into it. If you made it this far, please subscribe. I don't think anyone's made it this far, but please, bro, please drop a comment if you disagree. I hope I have people that disagree with me and they don't just be like, you're chopped. I hope people actually have good arguments. Please don't leave hate comments, leave like criticism, because I really want criticism. That's about it. Join my Discord in the description if you guys want more, and I will catch y'all tomorrow.